Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. Brene Brown.
Welcome to Finneytown Local School District's official podcast, the only place to listen to the in-depth stories from our students, staff, and community members. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the show. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Finneytown Wildcats official podcast. I'm your host, Eric Muchmore. Alongside of me today, as always, Mike Kennedy, my co-host. Mike, how are you today?
I'm doing great. We got a new teacher to Finneytown today that we love having, and so I'm excited to talk to Kristin Barnes today.
Kristin Barnes is here with us, 8th grade teacher at Finneytown Secondary Campus, teaches language arts to our young students. And Kristin, your start here at Finneytown was unique. You were hired in the middle of the school year, not prior to the school year, so you stepped in when things have already been moving along, which is very difficult to navigate, but you've handled it beautifully. You are a gamer, from what I hear.
Yes, I am.
What's your favorite game?
My favorite game is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
It's so fast-paced.
Yeah.
You use every part of your mind to be successful at this game. So it works perfectly for my brain.
For your busy mind?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say Skyrim because we talked about it, and I thought it was Skyrim.
Well, Skyrim is a very good relaxing game.
Oh, okay.
But if you want a challenge, play Call of Duty.
Okay. You game every night?
I try to. Yes.
What console? What's the
PS4. Because it's not a requirement for me to have a PS5 yet. There has not been a game that was exclusively put on PS5, so I'm waiting to spend money on that.
All right.
Yeah.
I think the last gaming, I don't know if I've made it past the PS2. Like I haven't touched a PS3 or PS4.
Yeah.
What's the Xbox at right now?
The Xbox One? That's the latest model, I think, but I'm not an Xbox person.
Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting because my whole house is filled with gaming, but I know nothing about the gaming. Actually, quick story for the audience. I will pretend that I don't know how to turn on the Switch because I don't want to deal with them asking me every second, every step. So I'm like, well, you got to figure it out. You got YouTube, so go figure it out. Then they figure it out. But like if they ask me to set up something with like the controller or syncing the control, I'm like, I don't know. No clue.
I can run a podcast and a live stream, but I can't hit the on button.
No clue on how to run those gaming systems.
And
But
it's still working.
it's still working, but they love it. And my kids are gamers too.
There
They
you
dig
go.
it.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that about you, Kristin, but I know a lot of our students love to game, and so I'm sure you're able to connect in that way with some of our students who
Yes.
also like the game. And Kristin, so before we begin, one thing that I noticed right away from my interactions with you is that you really care about our kids, and you care about all
I do.
kids.
Yes, I do.
And I'll never forget when I sat down at a table with you at Pro Action Cafe, probably 4 months ago or so, listening to you talk about our students and the challenges that they have and the patience that you give to them, and hearing their stories and working with them was really touching. And I never got the chance to share that with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But yeah, you're welcome. And that was a moment for me where because I don't know you super well, and that was the first time I really got to hear you talk for an extended period of time. And in that moment, I walked away from that table thinking to myself, we have ourselves a good teacher in Kristin Barnes.
Thank you. That makes me feel really touched. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean it. Okay, so you're here today because the theme of the podcast is taking a risk for this 4th season. So we've had a few so far, and the people we've had on have taken various risks this year with leadership or the way they've approached their classroom. And you too have taken a risk, well, one, by accepting the teaching position in the middle of the school year, and two, from what Mike has told me through PBL and learning about that process and that method of classroom instruction and facilitation. So we're excited to talk to you about that today. But prior to PBL, I'm going to start with this question. Why is it important to you to be a teacher at Finneytown?
In all of the spaces that I've worked in, I have been constantly overlooked. I have been not heard. And I finally found a place where people listen to my ideas. People take me seriously, and they respect the work that I've done up to this point. I feel appreciated here. I feel respected here. And that's by the students and by the staff. The students still have work to learn the skills to be more respectful humans, and I'm trying to teach them that now. But I've never felt as accepted anywhere I've ever worked.
Man,
That's why it's important for me to be at Finneytown.
wow, that hit me, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kristin.
Wow, that's awesome. We appreciate hearing that. I mean, that's what we strive for, but equally, you make us feel that way. Like anytime I walk in your space, and I see it with your kids. I mean, I see your kids. We'll be doing a planning session, and they'll be on the way to the bathroom, want to stop and hang out.
Yep.
Right? Because they love being around you. So I think you make everyone feel that way too. And yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime.
Well, I'm sure that feeling heard and feeling like you belong and respected helped you say, you know what? Yeah, I will try this PBL thing. I will take a risk. So tell us the story. I know you've worked with Mike Kennedy and Mike Rosa throughout this year. I'm sure others, but take us through the story of your experience with PBL this year. Where did it begin?
It began through my relationship with MK. As soon as I met him, I was scared of him. I was terrified because he was like the PBL project manager. And so I felt like, oh gosh, I have to impress him. And once he opened his mouth, I felt immediately comfortable. He made me feel like my ideas mattered. He was not the type of person to come in and say, this is what you're doing, this is how you're doing it, and you're on your own. He takes me through the steps to be a better teacher. I don't know what it is about him, but something about his education style appeals to me and how I learn and how I want to teach in the future. So my journey with PBL should be literally my journey with Mike, honestly, and all the things that he's teaching me through his personality.
That's cool. That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure, Mike, how's that feel, hearing that?
I never think I've gotten emotional on a podcast. I don't know. Just privileged to work with you. And yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, that's what's awesome about my job is I get a chance to learn from teachers. You know? Like you've come up with so many great ideas. That's been fun to learn with you. Like I never feel like you're telling me what to do or I'm telling you what to do. Like we're telling each other what to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's like a relationship that's just amazing. Like every time I go in there, we'll create something together and Kristin's like, well, what if we do this? I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Or I'll throw something. So it's really collaborative and yeah, I mean, wow, I mean, thank you. It's great to hear and I needed to hear that today. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, that's what's great about Finneytown. We have an opportunity to work with teachers and learn together. And her story, I've had that privilege to have that with lots of different teachers. And yeah, Kristin, I've learned a lot from you. So thanks for this year.
Same here. Thank you too.
Man, that's really cool. And it feels good to hear that as someone who's not part of your partnership, that we're doing things the right way. And we've had coaches, and I know other school districts, they'll contract with the county or they'll bring in some outside expert. And what you said that really struck me was that Mike never comes in and tells you what to do. And we have learned over time that type of like coaching style or even really leadership style, it doesn't work. People's creativity and their freedom of choice is squashed with that approach. And it really is, even when we translate that to our teaching with kids, it really is about learning together, even with the kids. And that's when everyone feels valued and that their voice matters and that everyone's contributing to something bigger among the group or between two people. So that's a really cool story. And just so you know, Kristin, I was scared of Mike too the first time. I'm not kidding. I don't know if I told the story on the podcast or not, but let me get back to this, Mike. Let me share this. So like 17 years ago when I first started, when I was a rookie, Chuck Grosser, who's a fabulous teacher at Finneytown Elementary, he was actually athletic director at the time. And so I was a basketball coach, and I would work with Chuck. I would work the football games. I was, they call it the site supervisor position. So I would, handle the referees and work with tickets and manage the parking lot and, stuff like that, just to help out the school. But I remember Mr. Grosser, Chuck, he said the band was, I guess, like the referees had come over to Chuck and said, hey, if your band continues to play their instruments during the game, I think during an extra point or something, the football team's going to be penalized. So Mike was the band director at the time. And so, I went over, Chuck told me to go let Mike know. And I said, hey, Mr. Kennedy, sir. Actually, I didn't say it like that. I just said, hey, Mike, the band can't play while the game's going on or else the team's going to get penalized. And you, Kristin, you should have seen the look Mike gave me. He gave me this look. I don't even think he said any words. He just looked at me. And I think the look said...
Side eye.
Yeah. And I think what he said with his side eye was, who are you? That's a true story.
Well, it wasn't collaborative. You didn't go, hey, man, we got this challenge. How can we work on this together?
How do we figure it out? Right, all right. I did. But see, it doesn't work. That's a perfect example. It doesn't work. I came over there and told him what to do, and he was having none of it. Resistance was up immediately. And so about 15 years later, Mike and I started working together. And here we are doing a podcast together.
That's
and
awesome.
have become great friends. And but yeah, that's just a funny story on the side. But Mike and your relationship is truly special. So thanks for sharing that and giving me the opportunity to share that story from the past too.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So let's pivot to the classroom, because I think all the behind the scenes stuff people would be interested in. And so I guess my question is, like, what is bringing you joy in preparing every day? Like, what are you looking forward to when you go to class with what you prepare with the kids? What's going on in your room right now as far as projects?
What gives me joy? The opportunity to trust the children and then watch what they come up with. And then seeing them show themselves that they are capable of changing their environment and then changing their world.
Yeah, I love that.
That's what brings me joy in planning and creating experiences for my students. For them to understand, the goal is for them to understand how much power they have and how to use it.
That's PBO. I mean,
Really, right
just
there
like
in a
what you
nutshell.
said, like, I don't have to come in and like say, we're doing this today, right? Because you're going to help me create that. And it's the same thing with the students. The students create what they're doing. And we allow them to do that because they have a lot better ideas than we do at times, right? I mean, all the time. But I love that you said that. And what is your current project? What do you guys, tell me more about that.
Our current project is based on the novel that we're reading, a murder mystery called And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, written in 1939 by an English woman. And what we are trying to do in class is be detectives and collect clues so that we can determine who the killer is before the end of the novel. Because that's just the challenge that my students wanted to take. And so I said, let's do it. And now our project is still in the production phases. They're still determining what they want to do, but they want to present this novel to a live audience to help, well, in a way that helps the audience determine who the killer is too. So to draw other people into their experience, they're struggling with how to do that. But I think that if we all put our heads together, we'll figure out something that they can be proud of.
I love that because like that is truly project-based learning where you're allowing them to create their own presentation instead of saying, you got to do this PowerPoint or you got to do this, you got to do that. They're going to create, because I know last time we talked, you said we came up with an idea where they would make 8 boxes and from left to right, top to bottom, they would design how this presentation would happen in groups. Then they would present those to the class, and then the class would pull from the boxes which ideas work in order and make the final presentation, and that's their presentation for the audience.
Yes, but I think a lot of them are struggling with trusting themselves. And putting an idea on paper feels so final to them that they don't even want to put it on the sheet of paper because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be criticized.
Yeah.
But I have to find a way to give them the confidence or have them believe in themselves that it's just an idea. We don't have to go with it. Just getting it out makes you feel like you're a part of the community. Your voice matters. So that's what I'm trying to get through their heads this week.
Yeah. Good. I love that.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is you've created an opportunity for the kids to experience a productive struggle.
Yes.
Like oftentimes we view like if something's tough or we might be criticized or it's difficult, that's a bad thing. But really, when we have those struggles that are right on the edge of our capabilities, they're actually those struggles are what get us to grow. And so that productive struggle through such a cool project, this murder mystery, is really awesome. Man, I did nothing like that when I was an English teacher. I was so basic and old school. I was here, write your essay, paper pencil test, reading comprehension questions. So, and I just, hearing stories like that, Kristin, really make me want to time travel to the past and just do it better because I know I missed so many kids with my style of instruction. So, right, it makes me a little ashamed, but at the same time of myself and my methods in the past, but it makes me hopeful and excited about the future based on what our teachers are doing now.
But don't feel bad about that because the world was different and you were told that a certain way was working. So it's not your fault. It is the ideas that have been passed down that we are told that we have to accept. So it's not your fault.
I love that you said that because when we went to college, I mean, that's the way you learn to teach is sit and get.
Right. And that's the way I was taught.
Yeah, me too. And so you just pointed out the system that we're trying to disrupt because we see it just doesn't work. Sit and get just doesn't work. Kids don't engage in that. When we ignite their creativity, we confront them with those freedoms of choice. Yeah, it's tough to work through, but that's real life.
Right.
When you're working through projects or just in general living life. And so that ignites them.
Yeah.
And what you're describing, I mean, I went through that too. I think we all have gone through that.
What I did was I created dependent learners.
Yeah.
They were dependent on me for everything, for their learning, for their thinking. You're creating independent learners, and that's the ultimate goal. And so that's awesome.
It is.
I can't wait to solve this mystery.
Me either.
You got to be there. PBL Showcase, right?
May 25th.
On May 25th, for all of our audience members, you're more than welcome to come and check it out. It goes from 8 o'clock in the morning, basically, till 3 o'clock. So come check it out. There's be more information out there, too, that we're going to put out to the community.
No doubt.
It's going to be fun. It's in the high school gym.
Okay. So you talk about the joy that you get from the planning process. And, right, you've had different moments this year with PBL. Are there any moments or a moment that specifically stands out to you with a student specifically or a group of students?
As far as what?
Just maybe through your facilitation of the classroom or from a small group meeting you've had with some students or a one-on-one conversation, but any moment that you can take us to or share with us where you were like, wow, this is cool, or I'm going to remember this moment with this student.
The moment that comes to mind is a project I did at the beginning when we were reading The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by
Great
Sherman
book.
and Alexie. It was hilarious. The kids identified with Arnold so heavily. And identifying all of the challenges that Arnold went through, I and Mike came up with an idea for them to talk about the challenges that they overcame. So that project was so much fun. I got to learn that I can take my hands off of the steering wheel. The students will lead and come up with something so beautiful. And I have only gave them an opportunity. I didn't force information down their throat. They sought their own experience out. So what we did was we had to think about a time where we overcame a challenge in the school because it's a small campus. I couldn't take them on a field trip. So I took them on an adventure around the school building. I said, think about a time where you've overcome a challenge at this school. We're going to go to that location and you're going to film yourself talking about your challenge and how you overcame it and what you learned and how you relate to Arnold. They loved it. Some of them were scared to be on camera, but I got on camera too and I did it as well. And I said, here, I was scared, I'm nervous, but here's my video. So if I can do it, you can do it. We're all going on an adventure. Get up out your seat. Let's go.
That is so cool.
That is cool.
That was a great
It
book
was
and
so fun.
Yeah, a great book and a perfect way to connect the the literature is about theme and really the reader makes the story. And if we fail as classroom instructors to connect the literature to the personal lives of the students, then it's not meaningful. And right there, I mean, you how cool is that? Got up out of the classroom, right? Learning doesn't have to happen in the classroom.
Nope.
It's not limited to that.
And I never would have been able to do this at any other school ever. I do not imagine being able to have that experience anywhere else but Finneytown. So that's another reason why I need to be at Finneytown.
That's cool. Well, cool. So they went to the actual location on campus
Yes.
that the students overcame a challenge?
Yep, we all went on a field trip to the football field. They recorded their video there. And then we went to the MP because somebody faced a challenge there because they got in a fight and they handled it the improper way. And so they talked about that challenge over there. Then we went to somebody's classroom. They were struggling with work in that class, and they talked about that challenge there. And then we posted them on Flipgrid, and everybody watched each other's stories. And then they learned that they all go through the same thing. We might not talk about it, but we all experience it. And it made them feel like they weren't so alone.
Wow, so that, I mean, like right through there, that's a project based on a book you've read, and through the field trip you took just around campus. Right, that's what connects people, is hearing each other's stories, and that also builds empathy too.
Yep.
So you accomplished all that. That's cool.
It's amazing.
I'm very proud of that one.
Yeah.
You should be. I used that book too. I had the kids write an essay.
Well,
Man, we're so lucky to have you.
But think about it. Though.
I'm lucky to have y'all.
At the time, did you have a thought partner?
No.
Yeah. I mean, like, we meet twice a week, once a week, twice a week, usually twice a week.
Right.
But we had an opportunity to create something. That's awesome.
Right, didn't have a thought partner, and right, I stayed safe and stayed small. I didn't take a risk during those times, and right when we don't we that's the thing that's troublesome about education, is that we as the teachers, I'm just speaking as teachers collectively, often get frustrated when our kids won't try something new, and we label that as apathy or resistance or whatever word, but really, teachers have to take the lead on trying things new for their students to try things new.
Yeah.
And if we're not pushing ourselves to take risks and step out of our comfort zone, it's pretty unfair to expect that from the students too. So appreciate you being a model of that, Kristin.
Anytime.
Well, let's flip it up. We do something called rapid fire. All right.
Oh, goodness.
And we've been experimenting with this. We used to do it at the beginning of the podcast, but we're throwing this in the middle here.
Okay.
So get ready. And we'll try to jump in on these questions too, so you're not alone.
Yeah.
Here we go. Would you rather always have to speak in rhymes or only communicate through interpretive dance?
Oh, my goodness. Rhymes. Rhymes all the way. I make a beat all day. I even sing to the kids to get out my class. They can tell you the song and they can do the beat too.
Nice. I love it.
So yes, rhyming, rapping, singing.
Well, the next time you come on here, you have to have something prepared. You
Okay.
understand?
Yeah.
Take you up on that. What would you do, Munchmore?
I'm rhyming all day long. Are you kidding? Interpretive dance? I mean, Mike, imagine me walking into this room trying to talk to you and I start dancing.
You would get my attention. That definitely
I'd
would
get
grab
your
my
attention, laughter,
Yeah.
and I'd probably hear the song that Kristin sings from you telling me to get out of the podcast room. No way. I'm rhyming. Rhyming.
Oh, that's good. All right. How about
I
this?
hope you are too.
No, I was going to do interpretive dance,
Oh my God.
but it wouldn't go so well. All right. Would you rather have the ability to fly or the ability to turn invisible?
Invisible. All day. I love to be left alone. I need to recharge my social battery. Can't see me, can't talk to me. And I'm at peace.
Man.
I
So I take it you're introverted.
Extremely.
Mike and I can respect that.
Yeah. Yep. I resonate with that one.
Are you invisible too?
I would be invisible. Yeah. Just because I like to get stuff done and do my thing. And you know, you guys always make fun of me behind the scenes, just so you know. Rosa and much more give me a hard time for this. But I like to learn about things I don't know. If I'm by myself, I can do that. Now, oftentimes I'm accused of being an expert on everything. But but like if I'm invisible, then I can like get in my zone and like read a book or research something or learn something new. And I love that. So invisible. I'd do that.
There you go.
Why are you invisible?
I'm not. I'm taking flying.
Oh, you're flying.
I'm flying. Are you kidding me? Are you telling me I can walk out the door and just go take a flight? I don't like to run, but I would go out and fly.
I'd be interested to see that.
Me too.
Hopefully
Yeah,
you
skip the
wouldn't crash.
traffic.
Yeah.
Right.
Just gotta watch
Get a
out for
bird's
those
eye view of
buildings,
everything.
You know? You might smack into the side of a building. That'd be
I
bad.
probably would crash right into like a telephone pole or something. But yeah, I'd take flying. Plus, just you know, you don't want to talk to somebody, you want to get invisible. So if I'm if I'm walking outside and I see someone approach and I'm not really ready to have a conversation, I could just go. I'm gone. So those are good ones.
Yeah. Those were good.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Interpretive dance. That's a wild one. All right, Kristin. We're going to close this out asking you an important question. Right, you've what month did you start here?
I think it was either late August or early September.
Okay.
Maybe September.
It was probably September because we had a late start and you started after. But okay, so you've been here. We appreciate all that you've shared about Finneytown, and we're thrilled that you feel like you found a home here. We certainly feel the same way. You've had a lot of experiences here this year. What shift has occurred for you during this time at Finneytown and on your journey as a teacher this year?
The intentional shift that I made from coming from my old school was allowing myself to lead with compassion and not a set of rules. The last school I was at, rules kind of ruined my life and ruined the kids' lives, and it made us all miserable. And not going into detail, but It was terrible over where I was. And when I came here, I made an intentional shift in the way I treat students and giving them the grace to be human beings and teaching them through their behaviors that keep them from learning instead of trying to punish them like I was almost forced to do at every other place I've been, to try to teach them through their feelings first. But in order to do that, I'd have to get a handle on my own. I couldn't do that at my other school, being bogged down with all the stress. So coming here with nobody breathing down my neck, that's number one. People trusting me and the expertise and the fact that I'm an adult human being who has made it to 35 years old, and I don't need nobody to tell me what to do every minute. Now I can start focusing on just being a human being. Then I could focus on how to manage my feelings so that I could help students do the same thing. So that's the intentional shift that I made, learning how to regulate my emotions so that I can teach the kids how to manage theirs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kristin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all go through, I mean, school has changed a lot over the years, right?
Mhm.
And I think we've all been in those punitive systems. Here, go to detention, or here, let's put you on a suspension, or managing what we think is behaviors, but we're really not getting into the whole person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at Finneytown, what we have done through restorative practice and project-based learning is we allow the students to learn how to shift themselves. And that's the key, themselves, not what we want them to do. It has to be a shared relationship. And I think the value that we place on that relationship between teachers and students is what you're speaking to as a shift. And yes, we pride ourselves on the environment we provide for students to be who they are, learn from their mistakes, and have a community. And I think what I'm hearing from your story is you found your community, which
Sure did.
I know a lot of students would say too. So thanks for doing this with us. All right, Eric, close us out.
Well, Kristin, thank you so much for being willing to join us on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. You absolutely have brought a significant value to this community, this school district, the students every day. I think earlier when we were talking about the partnership between you and Mike, you have brought value to Mike's work, and hearing him talk about his relationship with you, it's special. I know it matters to Mike, and I can't tell you how many times he's talked about you and how wonderful he thinks you are and all the cool things you're doing in the classroom. And I get to hear that those successes vicariously, and it really just furthers my belief in our students, our staff, our community, and what we're trying to do here at Finneytown to change the way education works so that the needs of all students are met and their passions are all lit. And we're doing that, and we're doing it through and with people like you. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's another podcast in the books here, Season 4, Taking a Risk. We want to thank you for listening as always, or watching if you tuned in on YouTube. And I hope you enjoyed another fantastic story from the Finneytown School District community. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Finneytown is a place that truly thrives. We look beyond our students' differences and allow this to introduce new perspectives and experiences to our lives. It's a place where we value student voice and presence. Our teachers, staff, and parents work together to create an inclusive school culture where all students can feel safe to learn and gain the knowledge they need to excel throughout life. It's a place where we are better together. We grow, we live, we thrive. We are Finneytown. Let's go Wildcats.